Fuel is the official podcast of the 434th Air Refueling Wing. Join us for airman connections, leadership insights, mentorship, and happenings mixed with some fun and humor. Please understand that the views expressed in this podcast are not necessarily the views of the U.S. Air Force nor the Air Force Reserve, and no endorsement of any person or business is ever intended.
All right, welcome to the September edition of the Fuel Podcast. I'm the host, Chief Nathan Parks. Wow, I had a problem with my own name.
Yeah,
I'm the command chief here at Grissom for a little bit more time. And then, as always, with me, the guy that produces it, the guy behind the mic, behind the computer, is Tech Sergeant Josh, the Dream Weaver. So, Josh, welcome.
I'd just like to say you need to say September 2022
Yeah.
because, now this has been going on for more than a year. So
Yeah.
people could be confused.
That's crazy if they're going back and catching up, which, whatever. So,
Yeah. A lot of free time.
so let's talk about this September UTA jam-packed, right? So we've got a commander's call on Saturday. We got the fitness program stuff on Saturday afternoon. So if you're participating in that, and I will tell you, a lot of people, I think, had some reservations about the fitness program. So we're offering that to really anybody that wants to go to it. But if you are if you're non-current or you've been on a failure, then you need to go to the program. And we put some phenomenal resources out there to help you through this time. And it's a lot of fun too. So we get to jack around a lot and have a lot of fun and exercise. So the job fair, we're having a job fair. It's to find out about some new positions, figure out how to be, go from E to O, just different positions that are out there. There's a 9/11 ceremony on Sunday. And so there should be an email out about that. So check into that. And then also the new command chief, the guy that's going to replace me, he'll be way better than me. So I was the first AGR command chief. So anytime anyone's the first, I'm always like, you're the first, you're the worst, you're the best. So, so I was the first and worst AGR command chief that you guys ever had. But Chief Brian Jensenius is coming to us from McGuire, and he'll be on base. I'll be walking him around. So if you see us, please stop and shake his hand. He's a phenomenal dude, very approachable. And then we have the October UTA is right around the corner. So some things that you need to get taken care of this UTA, if you plan on doing the family day, is your lodging. Make sure that all of that is squared away with lodging. And then also October starts a new fiscal year for us. So a lot of outstanding vouchers and stuff. And so a lot of that money that's out there, we can't recoup if you don't file a travel voucher. So make sure that you don't have any outstanding vouchers if you went TDY lately or anything like that. Let's really get after this readiness and making sure that we are capable airmen that are taking care and accountable for our own actions. So let's have a good UTA. All right, so here we go. September UTA 2022, and this was my last UTA, and so things are a little bit different this time. I was asked by the historian to do an exit interview, and so I said, how about Josh just do the exit interview with me on the podcast? And so I'm usually asking questions.
We'll see how quickly you regret this.
Yeah, and so Josh the Dream Weaver will be asking me questions, and we'll see how it goes. So,
Yeah, so I've sat in on a couple of these, maybe just one. I don't know that it was necessarily an exit interview. It was more of a historical interview. I sat down with Brian Knowles, the historian, and a lot of times, actually, I guess the only time I've seen it, making it sound like I've done this all the time, like I'm the historian. He just asks the question, and then the person gives an answer. There's not a whole lot of back and forth kind of conversation. So I would say that we change that up, and there should be some back and forth conversation because I'll feel
Absolutely.
awkward just over here asking, what do you think about? It'll be weird.
for sure.
So, all right, well, let's get started. And this is, I guess from the start here. So you show up here August of 21?
No, so November
Holy smokes, I'm way off.
of 20.
It
So I've
was
been here
20.
2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, time flies when you're having fun, right?
that's right.
So I just-
So
yeah.
my first UTA was actually September of, the first time I came to Indiana was September of 2020.
Okay, so we'll go September of 2020 then.
Mm-hmm.
first time out here, what were your first impressions of Grissom, like the people, the facilities, surrounding area?
Yeah. So my wife and I actually, when I ran into Chief Marion at a DT board, and so he was saying that he was going to retire and they were going to advertise the position eventually, blah blah blah. So I told my wife, and we started thinking about it, praying about it, and so neither one of us had been to Indiana, and so we said, hey, before we can really make an educated decision, we probably should go to Indiana. And so we took a vacation, if you will, from Las Vegas. So we flew from Las Vegas to Indy and then drove up and stayed here at Grissom for a few days. And not an official visit, not anything else. I walked around base. I just found random people, asked them questions, just talked to them about the base, how they felt, different things like that. And then we, went to church in town here at a local church and tried a couple different restaurants and kind of looked around at the housing market to check it out. And I will tell you, when we were driving up here from Indy, I got to the museum, the air museum,
Yep.
and we're coming down that stretch, right? So that's the old Grissom.
Yep.
And Leah goes, are we on base? And I said, I don't know. I said, if we are, they got terrible security here.
Yeah. Yeah. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Indiana and did not know that Grissom was here. And so the first time I came, I thought, am I on base right now?
Yeah. And then there you get to that sharp corner that says like Grissom Air Reserve Base this way. And so I was like, okay, I think we still got a little bit of ways to go. And so then kind of quickly figured it out through, looking back at the research that I'd done and stuff. Okay, that was the old part of the base. This is the actual active part of it. And so came in and, I stayed in the chief suite here on base, which is
What's that like?
it's
I've never seen that before.
yeah, I would say it's a little dated, right?
Yep.
And there's all these pictures of chiefs and chiefs' heads and everything else that all seem to be staring at you the whole time. So you never feel like you're alone in that room.
That was
I'll tell
fun
you
to go to sleep, right?
Yeah. So, but it was kind of in the middle of COVID, so there was no like room. That I couldn't really talk to lodging staff. I really like to talk to the people that matter to me, right? And so try to find the random people that are eating at the DFAC and stuff like that, and that's who I like to talk to, because a lot of times you get with these leaders and they want to give you we all want to sell Grissom as but the best that we see it, and I wanted the raw information. And so my first impression, obviously, I'm here, so we thought that this was a great opportunity for us to get back to the Midwest. We're both from the Midwest. I'm from the Ozarks in Missouri, but it was very Midwest feel, very friendly, very the base is beautiful, the trees, the facilities seemed nice, the airplanes were nice, and then as soon as you'd walk around, and I didn't even wear a uniform, I just walked around in civilian clothes. As soon as people started figuring out who I was, then they were, hey, come look at an airplane, kid. And I was like, no, I'm just here to talk to people. So went to the gym, went to the DFAC, walked through AMDS, stuff like that. And so we enjoyed it. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, so probably if you're trying to get like the raw information, not wearing a uniform would probably be the correct decision.
For sure. Yeah.
So, okay, so been here 2 years.
2 years. Yep.
What do you think's the most significant impact you've had on the wing?
Oh man, that's a tough question for me to answer, right? Because I don't know how to impact or how to measure my impact, right? It'll probably be easier if there's a question on what things I failed at, because I tend to focus on those things.
It's coming.
Okay,
Don't worry.
The biggest impact, I guess for me, it's that even in the last probably 3 weeks, I've had a spouse call me on my cell phone. I've had commanders call me. I've had civilians that we have working on this base call me. Um, you know, it that's probably the biggest impact is that people trust me enough with what they're going through or their something that they're facing that they would call me. The choices that they have that they chose to pick up the phone and dial my number. And I know for some of the airmen that call or approach me or out and about, I know that's got to be a bit intimidating. Not because of the person I am, but the position that I hold. And so, to me, that's impactful to me is that I feel like I was their voice. I was their the ear to listen to and to point them in a direction. And so that's all I really care to do is just be here for the people and make sure that I'm using this rank and this position the way it should be used, and that's to give back to everyone else. And so I feel like that would probably be, there's a lot of things that we did, but that impact, we're talking about that, to me is to have that on someone's life and just different conversations as I've announced that I was leaving and the conversations people have had on that, individual conversation. So, hope and some were, I remember when, I had a conversation last week is remember the first time we met and, you told me this is what I need to work on, this, and this. And I was like, well, that's the way you see it.
Yeah.
The way I saw it was like the fourth time we'd met.
Yeah.
And you said you wanted feedback. And so I gave you feedback. Maybe it wasn't the feedback that you wanted, but now they're like, hey, yeah, I'm glad I got it. And go that way.
Well, I don't think when people say they want feedback and someone's actually going to give them the proper feedback, they may not, you know what I mean? Like if I want feedback and you give me feedback that's not necessarily what I wanted to hear,
yeah,
but that's what I wanted the whole time, but I still would be a little.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to swallow, right?
Yeah.
I just did that. Some of the chiefs that interviewed here for the Comanche position, they reach out to me in their own timing, and I tell them all that, hey, we all want to win, so it sucks to lose,
right?
And so when you're done with when our feelings get done being hurt and stuff like that, and we want to know how to win next time, let me know, and I'll be straight up and honest. I'll give you everything I have. I want to try to make you as successful as possible, and so I I heard that reference the other day is that's not feedback, that's feed forward, right? So feedback is, hey, this is what you did wrong at this time. Feed forward is, here's how we're successful in the future. And so I've tried to focus more on that, hey, let's not look at what we did wrong in the past. What can we do to make things better in the future?
I like that. I never even thought about feed forward, but that's, I think that's what we're all kind of looking for.
Yeah, looking more for feed forward than feedback.
Yeah,
I can't fix what I screwed up.
Yeah.
Now, if you're pointing out something that I didn't realize I screwed up, I think Colonel Kuhn's the one that says is, I don't mind offending people. I just don't like when I don't know that I did it.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, tell me if I offended you or tell me if I screwed something up.
Yeah.
But then also tell me how I don't screw that up in the future.
Yeah. This is, I suppose this is kind of along the same lines. How do you think, so there's been a lot go on in 2 years, a whole lot. Probably COVID's probably the biggest thing, vaccine rollout. That was a big deal for a lot of people, but there was a lot of other stuff that we had going on. What do you think people here will remember about you? And you cannot say the podcast.
Yeah,
there's only like 30
the
people.
Podcast.
Remember.
Yeah. I hope what people take away is that, again, that I listened, right? The only reason why we do this podcast is because as I was walking around and talking to people, and I started realizing everybody's got a 2 to 3 hour drive here, at least, 5 to 6, even sometimes more. And then I'm talking to him like, what do you listen to? And what kind of music you listen to? Because that always interests me. And most of them saying podcast. I was like, well, we did podcast, would you? Yeah. So hopefully that's kind of the same line. I know you said I can't say podcast, but I hope they remember that I cared about them, that I fought for them. There was a lot of times where I was in pleading arguments with Colonel Pemberton about a certain situation or situations or people that I didn't necessarily, that's not how I would have done it. But my job here was to be the voice of airmen
Right.
and to fight for airmen. And so, I hope that got relayed is that everything I did was my intentions were for the good of airmen, to make sure that they come out here and they feel valued, um, that they know that they're wanted out here, and that they understand the impact that they have on this world and on freedom. And so, uh, I hope we did that. I hope we captured that in some. Um,
You can say podcast, I
yeah,
guess.
I hope we
suppose.
captured that in some briefings, some speeches, some
Just interactions.
interactions of just you know, uh, uh, again, people I think have let me in on more stuff because I'm leaving, but even some of the text messages of some meetings recently that I've had with people that I don't know, I thought, man, that was a pretty tough meeting. And then they text someone of, hey, that guy really cares about people. Like I really thought that, he would go this direction. And when we talked to him about the airman's needs and he cares. And so I do. It's hard to put a lot of emotion into this, a lot of heart and emotion into it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I told you it was coming.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think your biggest failure was?
So me personally, man, that's tough. The biggest one, I think there was a lot of failures, a lot of things that we were dealt. I don't like the fact that we handed out discipline for COVID vaccines. I don't like the fact that we asked people to maybe go against what their religious beliefs were, or that that maybe even some people were swayed by some disinformation and some misinformation. I don't like the fact that people thought that um, that this was Colonel Pemberton and I's idea. Like, there was a couple people last time we went into mass, they were like, well, what's Colonel Pemberton thinking? I'm like, you think this is his idea? Like, you think he's sitting around like, how can we really jack with people? Let's put them in mask again. That
Yeah.
sounds fun.
Yeah. Because I'm sure you guys enjoyed being in them too.
Yeah, I freaking hate them. But I think my biggest failure was when I rolled in. I got hit pretty immediately with some um, from Fourth Air Force and just where we were at with some DT boards and stuff like that on how far behind like our EPRs were, where IMR stats were at, some other things, and I rolled in immediately on that. And change moves at the speed of trust, right? And there's two things that people don't like. One is things staying the same, and the other one is change. And so I know that me coming in, it already probably got people on edge. But I would say that me jumping right in and rolling into fixing problems, I broke my own rule of, I've tried to build my leadership off of no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. I didn't have an opportunity to show people how much I cared about them before I started jumping into these are things we're going to fix, and I know how to fix these things. And I don't think people take it as well that route. So I think my biggest failure was probably that early on of just jumping right in and saying, "Hey, this is going to change, and it's going to change, right now."
You think that had a lasting effect? or
Yeah.
was
So,
it?
so there's certain people that I know, and there's certain squadrons that I know. Uh, there's nothing that will unite a group of people more than a common foe,
Right?
right? So
Yeah.
you could be so you're a Colts fan, and I'm a Chiefs fan. But if we have the same team that we don't like, well, then we're together,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Patriots.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
So yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, that's my two favorite teams is the
Yeah.
Chiefs and anybody playing the Raiders, right? But so, yeah, so so I know that part of that helped the wing was part of me being the villain in some areas helped unite them to a way that they weren't before.
How hard is that to accept, though? Like for
And
you,
yeah, that's difficult. Um,
because I see where you're coming from,
yeah,
right? Like that's good for them,
yeah.
but it's because of something you did.
Well, being the bad guy and then allowing leaders inside of there to kind of step up and then feeding those leaders and saying, hey, now's your chance to step up. You can continue to make me the bad guy so that you can get this point across and drive it through and unite your squadron or unite your flight to move forward. I think that's part of what I signed on for was to do what was best for the wing. And that means that sometimes I have to be the common force that the common enemy um, that people jump on, and how hard is it for me? It's really hard because I take it all personal. There's a couple people in my career that have um, really driven me to challenge myself, really driven me to push things a little different, to look at things differently. And they're not the people that a lot like that people that have known me for a long time would think. It's really the people that I never could reach. It's that I never could get them off of that villain stage and say, at some point, they've got to realize oh yeah, like, that he was just doing his job. Or, that wasn't personal, any of that stuff. And that bothers me because that's not who I am. I want to, my personal life goal is what I think is for a day in the day of the life of the Nate Parks, for my day to be successful, I have to make a positive impact in someone's life in some way. And so that may mean it's the lady that's at the checkout store, and you hear Colonel Wiltsey talk about this all the time. Is like you meet three best friends at the grocery store in the line. Is I it is it's hard for me to think that God has blessed me this much, and I'm just going to live every day and not try to impact somebody else in a positive way. And so when I feel like I've negatively impacted someone, it really bothers me. But I also understand it's part of the job. And so, for me, when I lay down at night, that's a lot of times what I think about is, okay, how do we make a positive impact today? And how do we do better tomorrow at it? So, um, yeah, so I guess the biggest failure.
Well, so it, it's what you would see as a failure, and other
Mhm.
people would probably classify it that way too. But you've got the good and the bad from it.
Yeah.
Would you have done anything different?
Um, yeah, man, I'd always do stuff different, hindsight.
Yeah,
Um,
Monday morning quarterback.
yeah, I'd be stupid not to. And so, yeah, I think about, I'd have to go back and look, but I think 6 months into this, I sent out an email base wide that said, this is the why that we're doing things. I should have started with that. Should have started with the why and not this is the thing, right? These are the things that we needed to do. Should have started with, this is the why that we do things. And I think it would have had a different impact. So, but I also think there's two people that committed suicide while I was here. And And that those two names set in my wallet before I hand out any business card to anyone with my name on it. That's the sticky note that I see first is their two names. Because I feel like, again, my job's to make an impact. How did I not make an impact there? And that's just how I operate. And that's the pressure I put on me, and the how serious I took this job.
What, like you're talking about your impact on other people, what impact has Grissom or the wing had on you? Positive or negative?
Yeah, so huge positive impacts, right? So my son is going to college here in Indiana, and he graduated from here, so there'll always be those pieces. But I think the people of Grissom, as I walk into this new position, the big pieces that I look at now is, hey, I want you to be good at two things. Number one is I want you to be good at your job. Whatever your AFSC is, I want you to be good. I want you to be credible inside of that. I want to see how credible you are. Like, I want to know if you're, I'm an aircrew dude, right? So, it was, you became, for here, you were a boom operator. Then you were a boom operator instructor. Then you were a boom operator evaluator. And then I want you to be reaching out and inside of that boom operator and be like, how can you go to test and evaluation? How can you be the guy or gal that is trying new things that they want to, hey, let's give it to this person. And so it's the same way with, the maintainer. As you're at that 3 level, you're at the 5 level, you're at the 7 level, how do you get to that 9 level? How are you on that cutting edge? How are you innovative inside of your career field? How are you changing the scope of your career field? Are you leaving a mark on that? And then, and I think Grissom taught me that in the fact that it was one of the pieces that when I came here, as everybody talked about, is, we're the best KC-135 wing out there. And it was true. And I saw that. The second piece that I would tell people that are, probably, it changes for different ranks, but the impact that they had was, I think sometimes when I did that in my career, is I missed out on how I could have made an impact in the wing. And so Grissom really opened my eyes to that too, is just, doesn't take a position for you to have an impact in the wing. It just takes opportunity. And so it's one of the things that we continue to try to do is provide more and more opportunities for people to make an impact in the wing. Whether that's in the diversity inclusion, whether that's in the Spark Cell, whether that's in Top 3, Rising 6, the Family Day. You name it, the career fair. We want to give you an opportunity to make an impact here and make a name for you in this wing. And so, Grissom really brought that around to me, because I saw people in this wing even that were some of the best I'd ever seen at their jobs, but no one else knew them on this base. And it's like, we're way too small of a base for you not to be known, for your impact not to be felt across this base. And so, but it also reminded me that I've said this since, I joined. So crazy thing is
Oh, is today the day?
2 days ago,
2 days ago?
26 years ago, 2 days ago, that I left for basic training. And I said it then when I got in basic training and I would look around and I'm like, hey, where's everybody from, right? And everybody would say a big city, right? So if you were there, you'd be like, I'm from Indy.
Right.
And then the only reason why you said that is because nobody knows
Daleville?
People from Indianapolis or Indy don't know Daleville, right? And I'm, if people ask me, I'm from Kansas City. The only reason why I say Ozarks now is because
The show.
the show Ozark,
Yeah.
right? Because if I said I'm from Warsaw, people are like, Warsaw, Indiana? No, Warsaw, Missouri. But what I realized was that the military, and you look at the leaders that are in the military and stuff like that, it is ran by small town USA. It is a bunch of people, and I have a theory behind that and Grissom reminded me of that. The reason why is because when you grow up in a small town, it's a little different now with Amazon and everything else, but when you grew up in a small town, you had to figure out ways to fix problems. If you were out bucking hay or working on the cattle farm or mending fence or you're out doing whatever, working on cars, doing whatever you were doing, you had to figure out a way to fix those things without jumping on a computer, getting to Amazon or getting to whatever. And so we created a bunch of problem solvers, and Grissom's full of them. I mean, it's crazy how many people here just can innovate and solve problems. And so, yeah, it was a great reminder of what the Midwest brings to the fight.
What do you? We're pretty short now, right? What, like a week?
I got 15 days left.
15 days. What do you gonna miss most? Don't say the food. Don't.
Yeah. What am I missed most about Grissom or Indiana or what?
Well, yeah, is Grissom your guys' first time ever being in Indiana?
Yeah.
All right, well then let's go. Well, how about we just do both? Because there's a family aspect here too.
Right. So what I'll miss most about Grissom is I felt like I could walk around the space and know everybody. Know stories, know lives, know, whether somebody's wife just had kids or somebody's husband just got a new job or, somebody's factory that they're working at, their husband's factory is cutting their hours. So they're out here, making a little money on this side to where they can help pay for those things. Kids in sports, and I'll miss that.
You're going to a big city.
Yeah, so going out to DC, but we bought in a small community. So we're out. I chose to drive more so that we could continue to have that small town feel. And that's the same thing with living in Kokomo. Is everybody knows everybody. It's funny is the most common question you get when people figure out that you weren't born and raised in Kokomo or in Indiana is, and they'll be like, well, where'd you move here from? I'll say Las Vegas. And they're always like, why would you move here? And so I usually ask them the same question back is, why? If it's so bad, why haven't you moved away? Like, there's no walls around this place.
Yeah.
Why would you stay if it's so bad? Well, I got family here so
there's your
the
reason.
greatness of family.
Yeah.
That's a great reason to stay.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I just miss those little quirks about it, and just the person that, we sold our home. It's like the real estate agent. It's like cousins with the person that did the inspection on our home for the buyers, right?
Yeah.
Which then recommended like some of the repairs we needed done. A guy that comes out as like the, third cousin of the real estate agent on the other sides. It's like everybody was related at our house. I was like, this is nuts.
Yeah, we just have a family reunion here. You guys can take care of
yes,
everything.
Exactly. I was like, I feel like a Sunday brunch. You can knock this bad boy out in no time. So, but I missed that being able to go in and who owns a restaurant, who runs that business. You go to the Coterie downtown and eat, and you see the same people, and you start building friendships, and it's just different worlds, and it's all together. And
It's probably better for your family, or you would think, right? Like your perception of it's better to have this close knit instead of like so many people. I've never lived in a big city ever, so I
Yeah.
have no idea what that's like.
So here's the big difference, and this is, I'll say, this would be my piece of advice for people who are lifelong Indianians. When people move in here, Indiana is one of the most welcoming states I've ever been in. People welcomed us in. They were friendly. They were nice. They were all these things. But this weekend is a holiday weekend, right? So what are you doing this weekend?
Going to the lakes,
Yeah. With who?
wife, kids, and friends
Yeah.
and their kids, and
Yeah.
all sorts of other kids that are up there that are my kids' friends.
Yeah. So that was like the biggest thing is like any holiday, Labor Day's a little bit different, but um, like Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving. When we lived in Vegas or, living in the city, a different city is a lot of people have moved in there from somewhere else. So they don't have family
Yeah,
there. So it's a lot like being active duty in the fact that
yeah,
you become family. Your family is those military
hmm,
members. Your family are your neighbors at that point. And so that was a that was a little bit different here is that, coming from Vegas, nobody's from Vegas.
yeah,
And so, you know, it was Thanksgiving. Then we heated our pool and got a taco truck and everybody, all
yeah,
of our friends came over and there was nobody rushing to their family's house or, we were family at that
yeah,
point. And so, um, and that's one of the things that I think a lot of people don't see is this is a big move for us. Um, this is the first time in 28 years that I've lived near my brother. And my brother and I talk on the phone every single day. So we're tight. And so so that in itself is amazing to me. Um, the this is the first time in Paul, my youngest boy, he's 13 in 8th grade. This will be the first time that we put a relative on the emergency contact. So things people don't think about. So 13
yeah.
years old and all of the school, everything else,
Hmm.
we've never put a relative on emergency contact. So we moved here. When we moved here, um, like day 2, it's like, hey, great to meet you, Colonel Shaw and, Chris Shaw. Hey, Chris, would you mind being our emergency contact if something was to happen to us that you would go pick our kids up? She's a phenomenal individual, great person to be it. But, and so then every year it's like,
Changing
you're
the
talking to your neighbors. You're like, hey, you guys
yeah.
don't seem like serial killers. Would you pick our kids up if something happened to us? you know?
Yeah,
So, yeah. So the move is a big one on that side.
yeah,
I base everything faith, family, force, and so faith and family made a whole lot of sense, and then the force also. So it was a good win all the way around. Um, but yeah, I think that's uh, Indiana has made a huge impact. And so much so that we gave my 18-year-old the opportunity, right? He graduated high school. I said, hey, we'll get you in school out there, for college. You want to come out with us? You want to go do those things? And he said, I think Indiana fits me. And I was like, yeah, we do too. And so, so he's up there in Fort Wayne going to school. So keep an eye out for him
yeah.
pretty soon, right? And then, yeah, so it's a great place.
I think that's all I got. So, I mean, there's more questions on here, but you seem to go pretty in depth in answers. So you answered all of them with me only asking half of them.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I don't know what else you got.
Yeah, it's difficult for me to put a bow on this, right? To say, hey, I'm going to walk out the door. I feel like there's so much unfinished business. I look at the things that we were also able to accomplish. Like we worked with Congresswoman Orlowski and Senator Donato, two great friends of Grissom, and the late Congresswoman Orlowski did a great job also and was instrumental in 253 positions were being taken from Grissom. People would have lost their jobs. We did a lot of battle behind closed doors to make sure that those didn't get taken. We've battled for benefits, we've battled for resources, um, positions, um, for benefits for people. We've seen a lot of wins and a lot of pieces that are maybe still on the table to see, whether those things are going to happen. I'd love to still see. I wanted to get a coffee shop. I wanted to convert Chalks into a coffee shop. I wanted to have a barber shop here. I wanted a barber to be on base when on Friday and Saturdays of UTA to where someone could just get their hair cut here. Um, we got the food trucks here. We got one. The idea was that we would have rotating food trucks, but we've
Yeah,
settled
that
for
thing's
one.
good.
Yeah, and he's delicious, right? And I feel like we're bringing sports stuff back. We're gonna do a Commanders Cup and to where people can compete against each other and everything. But it's hard to tie things up. I feel like more and more people are getting recognized for the great work that they're doing. We have the outstanding, fire department. That gets recognized in the Afric CE Squadron of the Year. We have the Firefighter of the Year. We have IG is won about every Afric award and half level award you can do. The historian is winning awards. Um, our security forces wins award. Like there's a lot of stuff, and I look at that and I say, and that's a culture shift. Like that's a culture innovation. A lot of times we come up with this and they're like, okay, what can we do to innovate? Well, innovation is a culture. Innovation is a space that you create that people have the freedom to say, hey, I feel like this could be done better. I feel like we have this opportunity. And innovation is a space that when they do those things, and maybe it's not the best idea, that they don't walk away feeling like an idiot. They walk away feeling like their voice was heard and that they need to go back to the drawing board. And they want to go back to the drawing board because you've inspired them to go back. And so, you know, walking around and seeing more and more of that, seeing, the fact that Chief Cassidy wants to keep showing up here, I take a lot of pride in that. Um, but I also know that there's a lot of unfinished business. There's childcare was a big one that I wanted to get across the finish line. I think it's unacceptable that we have any airman that comes out here and worries about their children during the UTA, like where they're going to be at, who's going to watch them, any of those things. I just think it's unacceptable. We're asking you to put your life on the line to defend freedom, and we can't provide you a safe spot for your children to go. I take that square on the chin. Like, and I've worked hard and I've worked hard with Senator Donato and Stacey Pennington and a lot of resources. And I think that will come to pass, but it'll be for the next guy, probably for Chief Jensenius, right? I look at, there was an airman that I talked to and she continues to impact my life because a lot of the decisions I make, I think of the conversation that her and I had. And a pastor in the hallway and of a building and just said, "Good morning." It's on a UTA. And just the response, it felt like there was something more. So I pulled her aside, said, "Hey, can we have a conversation? Like, seemed like there's something bothering you." She goes on to talk about how in a battered spouse's shelter with their kids, about how she was in the hospital because her husband, beat her, abusive. And I listened to this story and I said, "Hey, you, we've got resources. You don't have to be here." She said, "This is the safest place I get to go every month." And so those stories come in time and time again. People of, I mean, you and I have talked to people that this is not the country they grew up in,
Yep.
and they talk about their childhood and facing repression and facing, the government tyranny and all these things, and they were like, I just want to serve a government that allows freedom. And to hear those stories, over and over again here, and we've tried to feature some of those. There's a guy right up the road that was, um, he's a guardsman in he's an Army guardsman, Indiana Army guardsman. Is in Iraq doing a normal tour and said that he gets told, hey, pack your bags. Okay. They're like, we're forward deploying you. Like, what? I'm a doctor. I'm like, huh, why are you forward deploying me? Like my work's done here. He shows up at this location that he doesn't even know where he's, at. Um, and he becomes Saddam Hussein's personal doctor for the whole time that he was in captivity till his death. That dude walking around, he walks on this base. Like there's story after story of phenomenal people that are resilient people that continue to push forward, that continue to want to serve, that continue to want to come out here after. I mean, we've faced, four-wheeler accidents, motorcycle accidents. We've faced, deaths and complications from medical procedures and cancer. And I mean, you name it. And we faced it. And I am continue to be inspired by those people that come back and they're like, I still want to serve. And then we got other people that the first bit of adversity comes and they're like, I'm done. And it takes all of us, to figure out where we're at on that spectrum. It takes all of us to say, all right, I'm not doing this because of my supervisor. So if I have a bad supervisor, I'm still going to do this. And I'm still going to do a great job at it. So I've been there. And I don't think I can thank the people of Grissom enough for putting that message so deep into my heart of seeing, the Airman Chins over in Ariel Port, that he's a first generation American, born in China, and looks at the PRC and says, I don't want anything to do with the People's Republic of China. I want to serve a country that's free. So next month, he's going to get his citizenship. And to me, that kind of stuff, I'm like, how can I not serve? How can I, how can I not stand beside these people, in front of them, behind them, go before them, whatever they need? How can I not do those things? And Grissom has been that for me. I'll probably talk about it on Saturday, but most people don't realize that since I've been here at Grissom, my dad battled cancer. I lost my only grandparent that I had living. My daughter became homeless. I lost one of my best friends in a plane crash. I had all of that while I was being command chief. And I never once was like, I don't want to go to work. Because I knew that there was people here that were going through the exact same thing, that they were facing the same thing. And those two names that are in my wallet, I think, what if I skipped a day that those people needed me? What if that was my day to make an impact? And so I guess that kind of goes back to that question you asked earlier, is what's the impact that Grissom made on me? I always said it. I've always tried to live it to where I will treat people like the respect that they deserve, not what they're earning that day, but the spec, because I don't know what they're going through. And I got to live that day after day here, and finding people that were going through some horrific events and people that were going through some freaking phenomenal events. Getting picked up for jobs that they never thought they would get picked up for, getting promotions that they never thought was going to happen. Like, we got to share and all that stuff. And it's just, there's no other job that I've ever done that's like this, because you got 1,451 people. You have 1,451 families. You have 1,451 friends. And I've told Governor Holcomb this, and Senator Donato and Congresswoman Orlowski, is, if possible, I believe that Governor Holcomb would try to mass produce freedom and try to bottle it up and sell it from Indiana, right? Like made in Indiana, right? Like, I told him, I said, I don't think you can produce it, but they're definitely manufacturing some patriotism around here. And we were just at lunch, Colonel Pemberton and I, and I can't, every person that came in stopped at our table and said, hey, thanks for your service. Thanks for your service. Thanks for your service. And I'm just like, it's phenomenal. And so, I said, thanks, for this being your state. You as a representative of Indiana, I don't know if they're happy about that or not.
Well, that's yet to be determined.
Yeah. You as a college athlete from Indiana. Man, thanks. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. Never had a mic like this in front of my face.
Neither have I.
And I came to you and said, I got this crazy idea. And you said, well, let's figure it out. And so thanks for letting me be innovative. Thanks for providing that culture. Thanks for, like, there was a lot where I'm like, let's do this on social media. Let's do this on social media. It's like, okay, we have AFIs. It's something we got to follow. But you could create your own social media. Like, okay, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Thanks for your friendship. And thanks for allowing me to do this. And hopefully we reach people and impact people.
Thanks, Chief.
Yeah, appreciate it.